Nice. This is the Bear Hole Trail drive-thru. They do this the second week of every month. It'd be the Friday and Saturday. Usually I think it's 9 to 3. This used to be Old State Road. Went between Suedburg and over to Inwood and connected going over to Monroe Valley. So we are going to the Bordner Cabin. We could go to lock number 5, but I was at a historic old Annville day and I'm just done walking for the day. I'm just beat. My back is done. But I do want to take you over to the Bordner Cabin. Hopefully be able to film a little bit more. The lady from DCNR just said like they have parking on the left just past the cabin as a pull-off spot. So hopefully we'll be able to pull off and then be able to go and check out the cabin a little closer because I have full battery and we can check it all out and check out the falls as well. I don't know how much the falls, how big, full they're going to be because it just really has not rained a whole lot. So they might not be as majestic as they are at their best, but we'll see what we get. But it's just a pleasant drive coming back through here. I used to ride my bike back through here with my friends, and back then Old State Road was pretty bombed out and destroyed, but now they did a really nice job with it. It's mainly just like a biking and hiking trail, and a lot of people take their horses, like horseback riding back through here, but they do have this drive-through, which is quite cool because like right now there's no way I can hike the 1.5 miles back to the Bordner Cabin and then the 1.5 miles back to the sand siding lot. I believe that's the closest route. It's the easiest route because I think going from the Waterville Bridge might be slightly closer, but it is pretty brutal. It's all uphill. I have a huge mound of dirt over here. I think somewhere in this region is where I'll have to look at the maps then, is where lock number 5, and that thing is, I think it's the only lock. The lady I was talking to yesterday, one of the volunteers when they had to cancel the event, she had said that's the only lock that you can see from. That is cool. Look right down at the creek there, but it's the only lock you can see from the Swatara Creek because she does a lot of canoeing and stuff like that. So yeah, it's another one like lock 6 and lock 9 that are relatively complete. Like lock 9 and lock 6 both have some issues on, lock 9 is the one that we just visited. That's the one that has water in it still, so you sort of get an idea of it having water. The water would have been much higher, of course, and obviously without the wooden doors as well. But lock 6 is the one you can walk down in, and then you can see the true height of these things, like 30 feet high. It's nuts. It's terrifying from above. I don't like heights, and my balance is bad, so it's like, nah, I'm not doing that. But it was cool when we did that video. People came in from the top while I was down there, and you could sort of see the size of the thing from seeing the people up there, and just such a neat area. And you gotta think, this was area, that's the Mifflin Trail there. You gotta think, like, there were houses and farms all throughout here. Probably some of those small towns like Monkeytown or Brosstown, they might have been on this side of the creek. I'm not sure. I have to do more research and look at more of the old maps before 1970 that would have some of those towns on them, because then we could figure out where some of these towns actually were, how big they actually were, because we know like Murray was really not that big. It was maybe only like 15 to 20 houses at most, but you can see some of these areas. I used to hunt out here, and you could see even some of the old fences and stuff like that there, that these were farm fields. And Armour Bordner was far from the only one that was out here. Nice bench there, but it's such a neat drive to be able to come back through here, experience nature, hear the birds, And see, there's a bunch of the old fence posts. So there was something here at some point. And you can come through here too, and you'll see foundations of houses. I think somewhere in here you can actually see the old foundations of some of the houses. You'll see telephone poles and different things that are still sitting, because there's some rocks from probably some kind of stone wall. I just haven't been back here for so long. I don't remember everything, but I do remember, you know, when I was hiking back through here and stuff like that, there's just so much to see. And it's especially good when you come back in, like, say, fall. That's when all the undergrowth is dead. You know, even like winter, you know, our winter this last year was a joke, which I'm happy about because I really hate being cold. As you guys know, if you follow the channel, my fingers don't do well. I don't do well. My butt cheeks may be the only thing that stay warm, and even that's controversial. But it's just sort of, it's cool coming back. I mean, it's sad, but it's cool. It's like just looking back in here and saying, I wonder what that was. I wonder what it looked like when it was, the home was still here. And you think about the vibrancy of these communities. Yeah, how many people were back here and all that kind of stuff. And it makes you terribly, terribly sad, but yet I love ferns. I always loved looking at them around my house and stuff like that. Just being back in Greenpoint in this general area. I just love nature. I love the hemlocks. My favorite tree is a hemlock. This makes me really happy to be able to do this today. I wasn't sure. I was a little tired. There's some more of those fence posts, and that may be more recent, that there was originally drives there or something. So those were probably the driveways that went up to where homes were, and then they just basically blocked them off with the post to keep people from driving up in those areas. That's what I'm assuming those are more likely. It's just everything's so grown up you can't really see. There's another one of these. I think it's just, this is just a pull-off spot. It's nice too, because there's just not anybody, not a whole lot. There's one person in front of me, but really not a whole lot of people back here today, which is awesome, because I can just take my time and take you guys through here, and we can just take our time and be at peace and enjoy this drive. It's just so neat. There's some of the other types of ferns. Cliff would know what the names are. I got to get my books out on trees and plants, so I know what I'm doing, because I take pictures of the flowers and stuff like that, and then I'll have somebody say, is this such and such? And I'm just like, ah. So I got an app on my phone where I can take a picture of it or scan the picture of the flower, and it's like, oh, this is spirea, this is rhododendron, this is yada yada yada. And I feel like an idiot because I used to know that stuff better, and that's one thing I don't retain well. But we will be, coming up on the Bordner Cabin here shortly. There's really pretty cool little breeze coming through right now. Beautiful day. Gonna relax a little bit tomorrow morning and that, and then go try to finish as much of the landscape job that I can. So I'd like to get that done for my friend Ralph, who we go fun with, Ralph and John. I've been doing that now probably 6 years. Isn't that lovely how, look at the fern just all along there. It's just, wish you could see it the same way I'm seeing it. Camera just does not do it justice. It's really, look at that. It's just beautiful. Nature is amazing. It's just extraordinary how life, and there's, I believe that's laurel there. I believe that's Martin laurel. That might be rhododendron, actually. I'm sorry. I'm probably, I got to brush up, folks. But just look how lovely that is. And then they have the flowers on them. It's like that, even more lovely. I'm just gonna watch behind me to make sure there's nobody, I'm not holding anybody up. Just want you guys to have a little bit of an experience of going back through here and how beautiful it is. Now that might actually be mountain laurel there. have those right there. I gotta look and check that stuff out just to see it, because I know my dad and I used to hike up the mountain behind our house, because we lived in like a little hollow. I've taken you to the cabin before they came in and just logged it and just destroyed the little hollow there, which was a shame. It was so beautiful. Just the cabin was there nestled in this hollow with a little creek going by down to Trout Run, and then you could just go right up on the mountain, and Appalachian Trail was right above us, and it such a great way. There were things about it that were a little more difficult that most people probably wouldn't. I probably ate about 500 pounds of spiders and ants and things like that, unbeknownst, while I was drooling and I was sleeping. But it was just such a beautiful way to grow up. Out in the hills of Greenpoint, Pennsylvania, surrounded by trees and just nature. And it's why my dad loved the place and wanted to be there. And it's just, every day you got to wake up to that adventures and Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer type adventures out in the woods and creeks and ponds and all those back places that are forgotten over time, but sort of just remain the same. There's almost a fairy type quality to it, look at this little beautiful running water, this little creek, if you want to call it, coming down through. But it really was a wonderful way. It gave you an appreciation for life and for nature and all that. And it brings joy to my soul to come back in places like this, and especially this. I have so many good memories going along Old State Road, and to be able to come back here, I really have to say thank you to DCNR, thank you to Memorial Lake, and everything they all do, the volunteers who make this possible in the first place. You guys truly are phenomenal, and giving of your time and of yourselves to allow people to come out here and just appreciate Swatara State Park. And this just shows you what Swatara State Park, just a small bit of what Swatara State Park has to offer. So it's just, look it up. I'll put the links to their sites on this video as well. And always being able to make a trip out to the Bordner Cabin is so amazing. It is called the Falling Water of Eastern Pennsylvania. That might be a little bit of an overstatement, and it's not a dig or anything like that, but it is such an amazing place. So really thankful that we're able to come out here. So I am going to turn this camera off once we get here, and you can look up, because right here on our left is going to be the Armour Bordner Cabin, and then we're going to pull over behind this Jeep and go check out the cabin. Yep. Okay. So we are ready to go again. We just visited the cabin. Sorry about that. Oh my. Yeah, it was really cool. It was up there. It was one of the guys from DCNR. He had a cool presentation on the mammals of Pennsylvania. Sort of was hoping to film that, but they can get in trouble for that, so I didn't even take photographs of it, just because I don't want anybody to get in trouble for doing that. He was really awesome. A lot of information. Cool guy. Once again, thank you to these folks that they come out and they do this, because it really makes it such a phenomenal experience. And like he said, the purpose of DCNR is to, these state parks like this is to get people out here to enjoy nature, to enjoy these parks, to see what it all has to offer. And like I said, this road trip, this country trip here through Old State Drive, now the Bear Hole Trail, it shows you just a little bit and it's just such an amazing place to experience nature. You do also have the Union Canal. Sorry. That comes through here, and that is also pretty neat because they have locks 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5 that are in Swatara State Park. 7 and 8 are sort of, they're there, but all the finished stone is gone. So 9, 6, and 5, they all have that finished stone, so you can look at them and say that's a lock, and they're just impressive. At some point we will come through here and we will visit lock 5 and then see, you know, what that looks like as well, because I think it's something that you guys would really enjoy, and I'd love to revisit lock 6 as well, but unfortunately we're at a point here where we got to be out of here by 3, and it's a little after 2, so I don't want to wind up pushing it too much. They'll have another one next month. We'll come to that, and we will do our filming at lock 6 and lock 5 probably then, and enjoy that. So I'm gonna quick pause this. So once again, we're filming. I'm gonna turn it to the right so we're not pointing right at these people. You guys can enjoy a little bit of nature, all that good stuff. Gonna give this person just a little bit of room. I think we are coming up to here where the sand siding trail comes across. We walked across that amazing bridge. It was just phenomenal. It's so neat to go across that because you really get to see the Swatara Creek in all its glory. And we were talking about as well, me and the young guy from DCNR, all the work that DCNR did to try to clean up the Swatara Creek by putting in these limestone. In essence, they just basically, the limestone would naturally clean up the water, because there's a lot of mine drainage that comes down from Schuylkill County, and you know, the water used to be really, really filthy, and now it's pretty clean. I think that's the trail right there. That's the one. Yeah, this is Bear Hole Trail, and they don't have a sign that says what this is here, but oh, that's, yeah, it says the sign, sand siding trail. That's the one back down further. It takes you down to the Swatara Creek, and it has that amazing bridge that they put that goes over the 2 sections of the Swatara Creek. It's quite nifty. I haven't taken my dad's walking stick out for a while. I forgot what we called him. Change hands again. My arms are getting tired. Tired, I say. I'm getting tired as well, I'll admit. I'm starting to get a little beat down. It's been a long day of filming. A lot of fun. Getting to learn some more things, spend some time out with folks, and good for the soul. Even in large groups of people. I think it was nice that Lewis and I sort of got there early enough at historic old Annville Day that we sort of beat the crowds. And just sort of as we were leaving is when we started to hit those crowds, and it was like, wow, it was just hordes and hordes of people. So I'm glad we missed that, because I'm not a big fan of being in large groups of people. It sort of freaks me out a little bit. I'm a lot better than I used to be, but it still creeps me out. I used to hate even going to like larger churches and stuff like that, because I just didn't like being in, you know, not tight spaces, but a confined space with lots of people. I don't really consider whatever that's called I don't really consider myself that, where I get weird in tight spaces, but that's more because I'm fat and I don't fit into tight spaces, but oh well. Feel bad for this guy. He's in good shape too, and he's struggling getting up that hill, because I remember riding bike when I was a kid. That's where you get up about halfway and then you give up and you just walk the rest of the way with your bike and just admit defeat. I don't understand how, like, the Tour de France guys, it is insane, them going up those hills and you're like, wow, okie dokie, artichoke. And then they're going down the hills at like 5,000 miles an hour. It's like, nope, that ain't for me. I find it intriguing. Sort of lost my love of the Tour de France when all the cheating started happening, but I used to love following that. Late in my teen years and into adult, I was really into Lance Armstrong, and then when that whole thing went down with him, it was like, And it just, after that, you didn't have the named bike riders anymore, it seemed. I'm sure there were, but I just didn't pay attention. But you can tell and hear sometimes. I was talking to the guy from DCNR once again, by the trees that aren't native, creeping vegetation, that type of stuff, like certain ivies. You can look at that and say that's where a home was. And usually, you know, with a home as well, you'll have the flat surfaces where the house would have actually sat. But you can tell in general, if you're looking out in the field, especially out here in the Greenpoint area where a lot of these homes were taken, or the farms were, you can tell where the farmhouses once were, because they have that vegetation. You can just see by those non-native trees and just certain plants. You'll see the random daffodils setting up in a field, and like, that's where somebody's home was. It's like when Cliff found that town of Murray, and it was like all this different stuff, and it's like, yeah, that was where a small town was. And it's so neat, really, when you think about it, that those places existed. You know, we talked about, it's also a horrible travesty to me as well that they're not there anymore, but it's still neat to be able to go back there and say, okay, cool, this is something was here, something of substance. Somebody's lives, you know, their memories. You know, that may have been grandma or grandpa's house, and they remember that to this day. All these little things where, like, the little creeks come down through. Sorry about the side of my door there, the in between, but it's a little warmer now, I can tell that, but like, it's just, you know, you're in the forest, it's just cooler, there's a light breeze, it's so pleasant, the sounds and all that good stuff, and it's just like, I love this. And it's been a blast taking you guys along. I think we're coming towards the end now. Not sure exactly, but I think it is coming up. If my walking was more in a good place, where lock number 6 is coming up, I would stop and take you guys over there, but I'm done. It just is what it is. Like I said, maybe next month when they have the drive-through, we'll stop at lock 5, we'll stop at lock 6, because I got to make sure where those things are, because I'm hoping they have places to park for those, but I'm not exactly sure. Funny thing is, I think at one time, like, this road was wider and it was a two-way road, which is terrifying, because like, there's a drop over here, but they would have had railings and everything, which aren't there anymore, but they would have had the old highway railings, which were, you had a pole and then you had like the wire, the thick corded wire that would have gone across, because they didn't have the ones that we're used to today, they didn't have back then. And there's actually that one area, well, back on the old Moonshine Road where we hiked the one time on the Trout Run trail, and then we went on the Moonshine Trail. that still has those. And also when Cliff and I went back to that one area where we were looking for that, what type of axle it was and frame for that vehicle, it was some kind of truck. There was, you could see where that man-made pond was. That was originally, they had some of that original railing, if you will, whatever you want to call it, from the old highway days. I just would love to travel back in time and just see what all this looked like when the homes were here, when it was vibrant with life. It would have been extraordinary. Really would have. Unfortunately, you can't, but maybe at some point we'll be able to do a pictorial history, if you will, of all that. I might have been wrong about us being nearly there. I'm glad I left when I did, because sheesh, this is a lot longer than I remember. It's definitely, I would say, sand siding is much closer mileage wise, because they have right before you get, if you're going north on 443, before you get to Twin Grove Park is the sand siding parking area where they had the old sand siding rail station. There's nothing of that left anymore, and this is, I think this is the area where lock number 6 is right down there. Yeah, that's it right there. We're not going to go over there, but that's the Union Canal over there. It's not the lock, I don't believe. That's definitely not the lock, but that is Union Canal, I think, over there. Yeah, locks, that might be, actually might be lock 7 and 8. That's probably lock 8 right down there, and that what we just saw that I said was a lock, that's probably lock 7. Lock 6 is a back further, so we are almost at the end now, because lock 9, lock 8, 7, and 6 are all pretty darn close together, and you can see the Swatara Creek over there. And this is where there is a foundation here somewhere, and that's the foundation for, I believe, the lock keeper's house. There used to be one here somewhere where you could see something. This is lock number 9. This is what we filmed out the other day. Very, very cool. And we are coming to the end of our journey, so I want to say thank you to you guys, as always, for coming along on another adventure. And as always, we will see you all about town.